Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Azumi Game Dev Devlog Day 9. And apparently there is a thing going on this month called Devtober. It's like Inktober, but for game dev. So, apparently I've been doing Devtober without even realizing it. So maybe I'm going to start making these public or whatever. Or at least hashtagging them Devtober. That's pretty fucking silly. Anyways, so not a lot happened yesterday. Well, actually, it's not true. So I've been working kind of weird shifts because I did IM Games all day yesterday, and I did the Ninja Suffering T-shirt, which you can see if you're in the IM Games Discord, which I'll link in the description. Because if you're not watching IM Games, you should be. But the last time we talked was like 2 days ago or something. I'm losing track of time. Everything's blending together, and I'm also really sick because I've got keto flu hardcore. But needed to get states set up because nothing was going to work. Like I was having tons of conflicts with the movement if I didn't have states. So actually, right after I made that vlog bitching about states, I stayed up till I think like 5 a.m. and if I pull it up, we got states. So if you can see here, I have separated out every aspect of player logic other than the very basics, like having the camera and the player sprite follow the collision box and flipping the sprite when you mirror it, because that's going to apply no matter what you're doing. We have a default state that's separated out. And this is all the default controls, just like walking and staying idle. And then now when I hit key inputs, I have a variable, a string variable, and I set it to whatever the state is, so like colliding with a wall, or being in the air, or dodging, or combat. So now if you go down to those, like let's say we'll do state crouch, right? So if you hit right here, where is it? Here. If the arrow key, down arrow is down, instead of playing an animation, it says set state to crouch. So it's setting the state variable to say crouch. So then if you go down to state crouch, it says if state equals crouch, then you do the logic. So this way, everything is separated and nothing's conflicting with each other. Because when you're in state crouch, none of the other logic works. So you can't move, you can't dodge, you can't do any of that stuff. Actually, you can dodge here. That's right. But until you let go of the down key, and then it sets the animation back to idle and goes back to the default state. Once you let go of that, then all your options open back up again. So by controlling what the variable set to, I'm really tired. I'm having a hard time explaining this, but I think it's kind of self-evident. By having this variable that controls what logic is active, there's no more conflicts. So everything actually works now. So if we launch the actual game, this computer's running so slow because it just does not like being in Windows Basic mode. But everything works now. I turned the hitboxes back on because I had to adjust them a little bit. I'm going to turn those back off. But you can see if I hit down, instead of sliding on the floor like I was before, since I don't have any movement logic in the crouching state, it just flips it back and forth, because again, that's universal. But I don't move until I let go of the button, and now I can move again. And like, let's say if I'm moving and I attack, now I stop moving when I'm attacking, because in the attacking state, there's no logic for movement. It's just to do the attacks. And if I can dodge, that all works. But if I'm on the wall, I don't have any dodge logic on the wall, so I don't dodge when I'm here. So there's no more conflicts. Everything works as it should, and that's good. So yeah, fucking sick. It's like a real big boy game now. Now, technically speaking, this isn't actually a finite state machine. A finite state machine is a lot more complicated. But this is a simplified approximation that's fine enough for what I'm doing. And I'm actually really glad that it forced me into doing this, because I was able to cut down a ton of redundancies in the code, and it's a lot cleaner, it's a lot nicer, and I was actually thinking, once I was done with this game, once I was really comfortable with Construct, to try and like do a course or something, like a complete course, because I think using this program, anybody who wants to make a game can. Like, there's really no excuse. Like, it's so simple. But the problem I was having was that, oh god, now my code's getting really messy. I don't know. I kind of feel like I'm an idiot, just kind of like slapdashing things together. I wouldn't pay money to get this kind of instruction. But now with the state, everything's super clean again, and I feel confident that, like, oh yeah, I'm not a retard. I'm doing it the correct way. So, yeah, that's really, I mean, that took a long time to put everything back together. I had to rip all the logic apart and put it back together again and change a lot of the conditions from just key presses to toggling states. But it works, and it's good, and it looks way more professional, it feels way more professional, and the game just works better now. It's not strapped together with, like, nested if conditions and shit. It's just, like, very clean, go to the state, make the things happen in that state. One of the hardest things to do was this dodge. All I did for like 3 hours yesterday, for some reason I was having a conflict where, like, what I want to do is I want it to be like Bayonetta. So, like, no matter what state you're in, if you hit dodge and you have the meter for it, you will dodge. So if, like, you're in the middle of attacking a boss and you're about to get hit with a move, if you dodge while attacking, it will override the attack. And there was a glitch with that where, like, it wouldn't set the state properly, but I finally figured out how to do it. I had to set, like, an if do once sort of thing in the dodge state. It's confusing. I don't even really technically understand how I got it to work. I just was, like, throwing everything at it, trying to, like, set up the logic perfectly, and now it does. So everything works. You can dodge out of attacks. You can dodge out of pretty much anything. You can dodge in the air. The only thing you can't do is dodge off the wall, which I think makes sense because, like, yeah, you don't really have the right momentum. But if you jump off the wall and then hit dodge, you still dodge. So everything's good. And there's a ton of momentum now, so I can really do some fun things with platforms. Like, you can jump really fucking far. Maybe too far, because, like, look how far you can go. You can go from here all the way over to fucking here without hitting the ground. So yeah, I just died, so I guess that's time for me to wrap it up. This is day 9, Devtober, apparently. I've been doing that without realizing it. And I'll talk to you tomorrow with day 10.